clear from that person's right? They could care less.
So
They didn't care about the citizens, they didn't care about the builders, developers, anything except, I guess it's a.
I think without knowing exactly when the thing was made, that she could have very well changed their mind. You know, they could have the experience by now, they could have changed their attitude. So just saying that they're not. I mean, I can't say that they are not. So to just definitely say that would be wrong.
We do have a very recent letter from Bailey Custom Homes, 2-page letter, and I talked to him and his secretary on the phone, and I can give it a copy for the city, I can post it for everybody, where he expressed incredible frustration, her lack of knowledge. They have homes that they've had people staying in hotels they couldn't move in. They've had homes they can't close on, homes they can't work on because they can't get meters. This was like I said, a few days ago. So it was pretty recent, and he was almost ready to come to terms with suing New Fairview. And if you get a couple builders like the one on the rant, even Riverside or Bailey Custom, that decides that they've had enough and they've been out enough money dealing with this, that they're gonna sue us and they'll own us, like either one of them. So I feel like we need to get a staff with all this that's coming in that not only knows what they're doing, has the training, has a desire to learn about the job, but we don't have time for on-the-job training. We need the staff coming in that already knows, because like that, the owner of that company said, you guys are gonna get inundated and you're not ready. And it's gonna only be bad for the city. So there's.
One of these two people, a citizen called me today and said they called up here to ask what time the meeting was going to be, and one of these two people told them to look at the agenda. They should have just answered the person's question.
Exactly, and I've gotten several citizens with the same frustrations that they call it. They come up here, doors locked, they're knocking, they call, they can't get answers. So I feel like with all the citizens' input, which is amazing, and the 2 letters that we have on file that I can share with the city and with the reporting, I feel like that's kind of enough to say, yeah, we probably need a more experienced staff coming in now.
We can go outside and get neither one of them are experienced.
As far as the intern goes, sat here Monday, completely lied to everybody back here, and I have a sheriff who can vouch for that. So we want somebody in place that not only is not qualified, has no problem lying to the council, and showed their inability to even work with some of us. I think that we just need to refresh her.
We're getting better times in those positions.
Yes,
Not these two.
they all agree.
Hey, Doug, do you have anything? I just find it curious that only all the negative goes to 2 council members and all positive goes to others.
The city here.
Don't involve the citizens right now. We'll have an open forum for that, so.
So let me jump in here if I can.
Yes, as a supervisor.
So as the only person in the room that understands what the city secretary's job is, I would be the best person that could tell you whether or not she can and cannot do it, and tell you whether or not we've had somebody in that role that has been doing the job previously. And the answer is, over the last year, about 60% of the current, or the previous city secretary's role was transferred from her to Brooke. So Brooke has been taking care of about 60% of the job Monica is supposed to be doing. And Larry, you said I could reference them back to the executive session. As we discussed in executive session on Thursday, you understand exactly the issues and the situations that have arisen that have led to those job duties being transferred to Brooke or being transferred to myself.
That's your opinion. That's not everybody's. I mean, to say what we understand is,
Okay, well, you didn't never said anything in the executive session,
I
which.
did.
Okay, well, again, I would state that the person sitting there in that chair has been doing the majority of the job and the balance of the job, the majority of it. The only task that we've really left with Monica to operate was finance and minutes.
But one of those persons sure complains about having to do anything.
In her own words.
Yes,
Complains about having to do anything.
that's correct.
Oh, you're talking about the recording.
Yes.
So I can give you the exact date when that recording occurred.
Okay.
That recording occurred on July 27th. It was right after Monica was written up. She came out and she proceeded to unload and to complain about the circumstances, the unfairness of being held accountable for the job duties that she has. And then she proceeded to have a, I guess you could, what would be the polite term of a complaint session with her
I
coworker.
don't think we ought to be discussing personnel issues in open forum.
Well, we're talking about personnel.
He or she. So.
Okay, so there was a.
You're naming names.
You mentioned the recording. That recording is out in the public.
He or she.
Okay, so you're willing to call out Brooke's name in
I didn't say
recording.
Brooke.
You said she is not.
I did not say she. I did not go back. I did not say he or she. I said they, that person. I did not say he or she.
But you keep referring to the recording, and the recording has already been put out there for the public.
And it's two sheets.
Yeah.
I did not say he or she.
Okay, so regardless of whether or not you said he or she, as I said, we have now been without being able to do certain city functions, which requires a city secretary for 4 weeks.
Then we can hire one.
We need
Who knows how to
experience.
be one?
We need experienced city secretary.
Okay, so the salary range that we are paying right now, I reached out to some of the people in the area that are hiring city secretaries. You're gonna see a fair increase in the amount of salary that's gonna be required.
Larry disagrees. Larry said it in our executive session that what we're paying is a fair amount of money.
Larry, have you called or talked to the city? Why, Larry, are you a professional in recruiting and placing positions?
I don't want to go into what we talked about inside the session.
I didn't do that. I don't think we should be discussing any personal issues in public.
So what you're saying is, instead of placing somebody into an assistant role, where you still have the city secretary's role available to fill, as you're requesting to have somebody with experience fill, so that's and move forward, you're saying stop all city business by candidate.
I don't think that somebody has to have a tie.
Because it's statutory. Larry, can you explain this, please?
Even with that aside, we're already getting letters threatening to sue us, and I'm a council person, this is my volunteer job, and on my job, I'm getting phone calls complaining about your staff. So stuff's already stopped. There's already people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because we don't have an appropriate staff in place. So I think that we need to fix that.
You've worked with Bailey Custom Homes. You reached out to them and talked to them recently, or they reached out to you recently.
They called me because they couldn't get anybody to answer the phone here.
Well, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No.
Don't call the man alive.
I can play the phone records, and I can show you how many phone calls that their phone has made to the city of New Fairview. It's
I'm sure a
relatively,
lot because he's very mad.
and I can show you exactly the number.
Okay,
So what I'm telling you though
I
is,
don't think he was lying.
well, I can pull you up the email string the last time that we had
Can
a
we just
conversation.
get a staff in place that knows what they're doing?
Before you guys going out, do you want to go out and try and find
Sure.
somebody and recruit
I'll
somebody?
help you.
It's just,
We can help you. I'm sure that we can help you figure that out.
I don't need your help.
Larry, is the time limit on the statutory appointment of a position?
No, but the sooner you get it filled, the better you're going to be.
Absolutely. But that doesn't prevent us from going out and getting experience, fill these positions.
So can we make a motion?
Well, this is a- So from the standpoint of pushing this off, Larry, what is the, if we do not have a city secretary to enact the things that need to be done under her role, what does that look like for the city?
The city administrator
discuss this, and how you all are set up is having a city administrator in place, you're familiar with the roles and responsibilities that he has. The left hand is the mayor, as the chief executive officer. And you will have the city administrator basically countersign things that should be signed by the city secretary and him. And I've discussed this with Ben yet, but I think if that were to happen, then you'd probably have the mayor and the city administrator sign off. Just to make sure you've got two signatures that are independent of one another on the documents that are required. But the sooner you can get somebody in, the better off you'll be.
And we absolutely agree with that, but not
Yes,
these,
sir.
not these people.
So, the other one on there is Salvador. No discussion
Neither
about.
one of them, he hasn't been here, long enough. He came in as an intern and, I guess that somebody said they called up here and he answered the phone. What else is he qualified to do besides answer the phone?
Well, Salvador is a master's degree student.
The student,
Master's degree.
Master's degree.
Student.
We need a qualified staff.
So he has his degree, he's going back to his.
He's going back for his
So
master's
he doesn't
degree.
have-
He's worked for council members in the city of Fort Worth as the chief of staff. He has a pretty robust resume. He has experience. From the standpoint of the skill set though, the city council has delegated to me supervisory responsibility for these departments and these people. They are going to basically turn them over to me and say, your job is to manage them. Which means if I'm going to manage them, I should have some input as to who's going to be sitting in that role. And if you guys are stating that you do not want me to have input in that role, then you need to vote as a council to remove the city secretary as a supervised by the city administrator and have her report directly back to the city council.
Well, nobody said you couldn't have any. But the final decision is up to the city council.
And I agree with that.
Everything.
It's an appointed position. The council has the right to say that. What I'm saying though is the people that are sitting in that office right now have been doing that job collectively for a while. So can we continue to operate and do business while we determine who's going to fill that role and figure it out rather than putting the city basically on its stall and saying you cannot conduct city business without, I've been talking to Larry about this for weeks, trying to figure out what do we do? Do I sign both spots? Do we have somebody else do it? And I have yet to get a good answer back.
Well, I mean, we haven't there's somebody that could be in that office, that wants to be in that office, that's being prevented of being in that office, who knows how to be in the office.
Again, I will refer you back
And then what
to
you said
the-
that recording was made in July?
Mhm.
This
July
past
27th.
July?
Past July, a month ago.
So the rant and the F word and the I can't do this and I don't know how to do this, all
I
by
don't
her.
want to do this.
I don't want to do this, all of this by her was just last July, and you want to promote her and give her more city money?
She's already doing this stuff. that she
Surely
needs to
that we
do.
can get a different staff.
I'm not saying that we cannot go out and recruit somebody new if the council has a desire to go out and spend.
And the salary that we currently pay is a good salary, $62,000 a year. That's a lot of money for a city secretary in a small town like this.
All right, any other discussion when we get there, we'll, I guess, vote to, when you get into business, vote to table it.
My concern is just the fact that the city's not doing business. Nobody's saying that we're gonna make our city secretary.
This is a deputy and assistant role.
Yeah. But why waste the money and just get a staff that we don't have to pay another person? We need somebody who can handle all of those roles.
but then we'll,
Temporarily do work until we can.
Like work hasn't been being done in the last month.
None of you are now. What, is there any work that can't be done?
Yeah, we cannot execute documents. I have a plat sitting in our office.
So why hasn't she done it then? Why is,
It's a
it was your decision
statutory-
to stop work.
A
When you
mayor
didn't let somebody
can't
come into
sign.
her.
I used to sign the flag when I was mayor.
And it was countersigned by the city secretary.
Might have been, but I used to sign flags when I was mayor. But these, you know, no. I mean, the person admits, again, I didn't say he, she,
So Nolan,
the person admits.
Brooke is ready to come out here and discuss the tape. She's ready to come out here and answer any questions that they may have. She said she'd be more than happy to come out and do it.
That might not be a bad idea.
Should we play the tape for the whole city to hear it? I mean, it's pretty disgusting.
I would, rather not.
There's a lot of F words in there.
Exactly. It's
So,
Right.
let's all put it in some context.
Why in the world would you want somebody that talks like that to be an employee of our city?
So Steve,
My gosh.
We can't even, when she doesn't know if she's gonna talk to the city, we can't even play it.
Steve, you've been kicked off almost every social media page
I have.
in the city because of the way you talk and the way you act.
Yeah. But he doesn't work for the city.
Sure don't.
He represents the
Is
city.
he? Is he getting paid to sit in that office and curse and say the F word so many times we can't play it?
So,
This is
again,
volunteer. We're volunteering our time right here.
okay, I understand what you're saying.
We need to stop the input. You're disrupting the council as we're trying to discuss this.
So what I'm saying is, this is a stopgap measure. If the council's not happy with who's there, then we can replace that person, but this it gives us the ability to move forward. So if you guys choose to take a vote on it and say, no, don't do it, then that is the council's right, and we will continue down the path. We will keep telling the people that we're working with, you're talking about being upset by not having these applications completed. And we'll call it Tim Fleet, we'll call it Don Allen, and we'll say, hey, guys, we're last 30 days behind because we cannot get a city secretary to countersign.
Oh, it shouldn't take that long to start interviewing.
You realize it takes 30 days to get a good list of quality candidates to even start interviewing.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's gonna take some time for us to come up with a list of quality candidates.
I bet in 30 days, you can't have enough candidates that count. That's just me, I'm throwing it out. Because they're not out there.
Well,
It's still taking long to fill that position because there's not that many people out there looking for jobs.
But at least they'll want the position. Because the person who is in there now doesn't want it.
No, no.
as I said, I can answer your question if you wanna ask me these questions directly.
Her coworker walked out of an office and basically said, here, you can do my job too, and walked out. Yeah, she was upset.
Why do
She
you
got
think-
everything done.
Why do you think that happened that way?
Because she was just written up, and she came in and she was pissed off.
We discussed that. It was very obvious why it happened that way.
All right, what do you think? Does it make sense? And it's good for this board and the working group?
Ben, can I ask a question?
The mayor.
Uh,
What was that?
Rebecca had a question.
Let me get to the open forum, Rebecca. I think we do better. Let's get there. Thank you. So, legal counsel that Larry has just offered is that one of the ways forward with this is that he could put something together that would authorize myself and Ben to sign and co-sign those documents to get them moved through the city. And if we table that, they would just remain on staff as in their current positions. I mean, that's what would happen by tabling that particular item. Does everybody understand that? Does that make sense to you?
I understand that. At the next city council meeting, we can put on the agenda I'm gonna get your firm city council.
So does that sound like a workable solution with
Yes,
each
sir.
council member?
Are you willing to do that? Do you have time to do it?
See, we'll see how busy it gets. Might be I'm back on the agenda real fast.
Yeah, I up here every day, it's necessary.
No, I'm sure that we can handle that. Initially, depending on what the backlog is right now, it might take some effort, but
Thank
I'm
you.
willing to give it a try.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
That's what, city.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are there any other items we want to discuss in the working session?
No,
All right, so at 7:22, we're going to adjourn the work session. Yeah, 7:22. And then we will then go ahead and go into the regular session at 7:22. Call the order again, roll call, Lauren Studer.
Cindy Powell.
Julie Barker.
John Taylor.
Steve Meisman.
Right. Now, if we could stand and
Indivisible. Honor that.
all right. Citizens, we're glad you're here. We really are. During the open forum, gives each of you an opportunity to come forward and speak. I only have one form from Harvey Berger that has asked to speak. If there are more, we need to get them right now. But I wanted to just briefly go through the open forum. We've done it, it's been done before, but city council vice persons with comments or observations related to city issues, projects, or policies to briefly address the city council. Anyone wishing to speak should sign the open forum when you came in that you could pick up before beginning the city council meeting. In order to expedite the flow of business, provide all citizens an opportunity, we want everybody to have an opportunity. See, if everybody's here, it takes 3 minutes, which, the next item takes a 3-minute limitation. It's gonna be a late night. But we still want to encourage each of you to do that. There's one other thing I'd like to bring out of the Open Meetings Act that I think is important to help us here. Says, a governmental body shall allow each member of the public who desires to address the body regarding an item on the agenda. So that's important. If there's something you need to say, it's about an item on the agenda, or an open meeting of the body to address the body regarding the item in the meeting. We got kind of incoherent for a minute. A government body, this language. A government body shall allow each member of the public who desires to address the body regarding an item on an agenda, an open meeting of the body to address the body regarding the item at the meeting before, that's the open forum, or during the body's consideration of the item. So not both, but it says or. So you can stand up and speak in the upfront, in the open forum, for a particular item that you want to speak there. It comes up, you can stand up and speak there before, and then the rest of it we get to, we discuss as a council based upon input that we hear from each of you. Then said the government body may adopt reasonable rules. That's the 3-minute thing we put on there regarding the public's right to address the body, including limit the total amount of time that a member of the public may address the body on a given item. A government body may not prohibit public criticism of the government body, including criticism of any act, missions, policy, procedures, program, or services. But this prohibition does not apply to public criticism that is otherwise prohibited by another one. So it's we want you to know that we want your input, but we want to follow the rules so that we have an orderly meeting. And with that, I think we can start with the only one I have here, and I know Rebecca has asked. Harvey, if you want to do it now or during the, I'm ready. All right, cool.
Pardon, the name should come here report.
2 weeks ago, I had all faith and trust in this city and in the council that they had the best interest of the city of Fairview and our citizens. After that time, I do no longer have that faith and that trust in this council. It started with somebody being terminated or let go or leave or whatever, and it snowballed from there. I don't think that it was handled correctly. I've been a manager and a vice president of a company for a very long time, and whatever happened with that snowballed into something that I have lost my trust and my faith in this council and in the mayor for not handling these things more appropriately. I hope that in the future that these things will be looked over more carefully and that the citizens are allowed to know as much detail as possible so that we can all regain trust in the council and moving forward.
Thank you. Rebecca, did you want?
No, I'm fine. I think I don't need to ask a question.
Right. And, so that's all the input I have from the citizens. All right. So let's go ahead into, new business. The first, item is A, discuss, consider, and act on the resolution of Newton, Fairview, Texas, accepting the resignation of Mayor Pro Tem Vicky Malone. So, any motions or discussion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Mayor Pro Tem Mickey Moore.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is to review and appoint an applicant. Next item is to review and appoint an applicant for the remaining term of place 2. All right, so I have 8 applications, and we'd like to go through each of those. Tonight, we would like to do a record vote on, and we'll talk about them, we'll get there. But first, we want to have each of these individuals, I have them alphabetical here, so we will have each of you come up alphabetical. If you're here, if you're online, we need to know. But we'll go ahead and start with Louis Cordova.
And that term is May of 2022.
I have to check, I don't know.
Is Louis Cordova here, or is he online?
Hello.
All right. We'll go to the next one. Now just,
Who did you call, the first one? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Louis Cordova.
Okay.
So, the fact that you're not here, we'll still go ahead and keep this, and, you know, you'll be in the vote. There's the information that he has, his background, all that's on that. Okay, the next applicant is Scott Johnson, from 620 Martindale Lane. Scott, are you here?
Yep. I believe all of y'all know me. So I'm a former council member for 8 years. I sat behind that desk when nobody else in the city cared to do it. So I think I think I have credentials to say that I have some understanding or ability to understand the issues that encompass this city. And I don't know, I got all kinds of experience in there. I was 2 years mayor pro tem. I spent 5 years on the planning and zoning commission to begin with. So I moved here in 2006, and in 2007, I was aware of zoning issues on Martindale, the street I live on. So I came down here and started attending meetings. And from that point forward, I've basically been attending meetings all up until the last, 6 months. And so I've been kind of scarce, taking care of stuff on my own. But recent events have brought it back to my attention that I don't know what's going on. And so if not sitting in this audience, then maybe sitting back there, if y'all would care to have my opinion. I can tell you that I'm the single person who built the inside, designed and built the inside of both of these buildings. There was nobody in the project when I first arrived here. We had built the buildings, and there was nobody who was going to handle any of this. And so I ran that project. I actually did the design. Ben has I wouldn't call it professional drawings.
We have cabinets.
Yeah, we have the CAD files. So you personally handled all the construction of the interior of this, managed it. I didn't handle it, obviously. I had somebody else do that. So there's a number of things that I'm skilled at. I have 2 engineering degrees. So obviously I can look at things and dissect them and understand. So it's totally up to you guys, whether you want that experience on this council or not. And I thank you for being able to stand here and ask that.
Thanks, Scott.
So, Larry said we have a question, is that correct?
So, yes.
So you were one of the original council that instituted the city tax,
Yes.
but just recently you opposed the tax increase.
Yes.
Okay, and so somebody asked on social media, and I couldn't answer it, they want to know how come we dug a hole 8 feet deep to build the city hall in a municipal complex?
So again, engineers came through, and that was against my recommendation, being a professional engineer. But the engineers came along and did soil tests. So the soil test said that one of 2 things had to happen. You either build a ark underneath your buildings in clay, something solid, so it can float in our viscous soil, which is not really solid, it's a fluid. And so you either build an ark underneath it to support the building, or you put piers down through it. I personally had the same soil test done 3 years earlier on my house. I chose to drill 43 piers under my house, and it sits there just as fine as it can right now. So the council at that time decided to build the clay ark underneath the building, again, against my recommendation.
So I'm gonna ask everybody this question, and I don't think you can do both. I think you either have to be for the people, first, or for the city first. I don't think you can do both.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with that statement.
Sure.
I think the city is the benefit to the people. So, but you can't, I won't say this quietly, you can't build the city on a small number of people. At the same time, you can plan and make sure the city goes in the right direction, which is why when we instituted taxes originally, hired Ben Nyberg. I personally believe that he has good vision, but I don't think you can let him build the city. That's up to you guys. So he has good vision, y'all take that direction and give him direction to go, and away we go. Now, if nobody gives him direction, then you're gonna get a Taj Mahal, because that's what we hired him to do. But we can't afford a Taj Mahal. But what we can is we can look to that vision and say, yes, we wanna go there. But can we get there now? I'm gonna say right at the moment, the one thing that bothers me about this pre-discussion is nobody's asking money. I have yet to hear anyone at all ask about money. There's your limitation. How much money do we have? So, and how much is it gonna cost?
You mean how much do we have in the bank?
No, numbers, I'm just saying, the first question out of anybody's mouth, it should be, who's gonna pay for it, where's it gonna come?
That's what everybody.
Well, it's hard to be up there because I don't know,
That's why I propose that we keep the tax at 30 cents, because we don't have a.
and Steve, I'm not arguing with that point. I think there was a failure in the last meeting. And John saw it in your voice, and I wondered what it was. And so I've contemplated that since then, but that's a whole other discussion we'll have at this point. So, yes. Mr.
Do you
Chairman.
do you find yourself having any conflict whatsoever? I mean, you're not related to anybody up here, you don't work with anybody up here, money is making
No.
money decisions?
No,
And that's something I'm gonna ask everybody,
that's fine.
because I'm very cautious on money spending.
So, no, I don't have any to answer your question. I know that y'all are in a struggle at this moment and there are issues. And I would gladly fall into that and say, hey, everybody has a right to their opinion.
So city money doesn't pay any of your bills or your work or your house or.
In Fort Worth, and so, yes, no.
You heard us talk about the personnel issues. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm educated, Steve. That was the first thing I said when I come up here. Lord, forgive me, I disowned what I set up, assuming that it was going forward. It concerns me, let's put it that way. In the last 2 weeks, I am here now today because of those exact issues.
Okay.
Because of the tax that I think the optics of the tax that y'all approved, even though it wasn't a tax rate, and the city issues with personnel. So that's exactly why I'm standing here today.
Okay.
And I don't know a whole lot of details.
That's all I got. Thank you for
Thank you.
wanting to volunteer.
Next one is John Judge.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I personally have been in the city for 36 years. My family has been here 150.
Wow.
So I understand quite well what happens with the originals here. I know quite well what's going through our minds. I also understand that the city is growing. It needs a direction to go. It needs help. I have a background in civil, structural, civil engineering. I have a background as a Navy CP construction. I worked most of my younger life, of course, I'm still young, but most of it in road construction, road construction. I know what it takes to build. I know what it takes for the infrastructure on the water along the street. So I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to that. I've been on the developer side of this. Because I worked for private utilities, I've worked for charter builders, I've worked for several of the large companies. After seeing everything that's been going on, I decided I needed to speak up. I've been the quiet one in the background. I think it's high time we have some overlap in here. Yes.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you have any ties to the city whatsoever, money-wise, for your job, for your home, for your land, is there any conflict that you can see whatsoever with anything up here or in the city? Thank you.
so, I'm gonna ask everybody this question, once you support the people first and the city second, or do you think, like, you got to, it doesn't matter? I'm sorry?
There has to be a fine balance between support and both,
Absolutely.
but for first you have to listen to the people to grow the city.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Anybody else? Any questions for you?
Hey, thanks for your service.
Can't thank you enough. Thank you for your service.
Next one is Vicki McNeil.
She's supposed to be online, sir.
She was.
I am. I'm here. Unfortunately, I was going to be there, but I was directly exposed to COVID, so I didn't think it was a good idea to be there in person.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for that.
I have lived in this community for 17 years. And I love the city of New Fairview. I do know that the city does need to grow, and I do understand that. I was opposed to the 30-cent tax, but I know just through conversations with other people that know a little bit more about what's going on with the city, that it was a needed tax at the time that it was implemented. I would like to see the city grow, but I feel that it needs to grow at a moderate pace and not all in a day. It takes time. All the small cities that are around here, that includes Decatur, which is a fairly good sized city now, started out very small and grew slowly. I think with the right management of our funds that the city can grow, and grow at a pace that it needs to, and not trying to do it so quickly and not forced. My background is that I have been in administration. I was an administrative assistant for 10 years. I have set up programs for healthcares like Baylor. I had set up a program for them for what's called HCC coding. I was their senior coder at the time. I also set up a program between the radiologist at Wise County Surgical and Medical and the hospital for his billing. I have also done accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll, and I do have leadership background as well. I just feel like I could get in there and work hard and help this city to grow at the pace that it needs to, and be a good part of the city council in making the right decisions for the city.
Vicki, this is Steve Meisner. Again, the question, would you support the people first and the city second, or you think they're equal?
I think the people need to come first. That's just my opinion. I know that there's a lot of low income. They move out here, single parents, and senior citizens because they can afford to live here. And I think that support needs to be first. And it is important for the city to be supported as well. But the city needs to be the support for the citizens, and then, just go from there.
Thank you.
Ms. McNeil, do you have any conflict with the city at all as far as money goes, or payroll, or getting money, or related to, or for your work home or otherwise with the city?
No, I do not.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Vicki.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna slide on this next one. Forgive me ahead of time. Status, Ms. Stempsky? D. Stempsky.
We have to learn that.
Now, I moved to this. I love the fact that my sick house was built on 1 acre tract on 268 Hilltop Street. I also see the need in my area. That's why we set up blessing box for people to come and take stuff, or for people to put stuff in it. Because we see we're in ministry. We see a great need to help the people. I'm retired. When you guys passed that 30-cent tax, it hurt me. Doesn't sound like a lot, but being retired on Social Security, it hurt me. Because I wasn't in time for the freeze. So this time it doesn't bother me if you raise the taxes. But I'm gonna fight for every senior citizen in this place, because I know when you're on Social Security, $50 a month on your mortgage hurts. Okay? I moved here because there wasn't a city tax. I was upset when I saw a city tax. I see all these builders. I come from New Jersey. I've been in Texas for 14 years. In New Jersey, the builders pay for their roads. The builders pay for their service. The builders pay for their water to come in.
Yeah. I'm from New Jersey too, yes.
It's not a gift. That upsets me when I think these builders are gonna have everything handed to them. Go through some of these streets.
I work for a hospice company. I couldn't get my car down some of these streets because the roads are so narrow. People in hospice need help. They need to be taken care of. It's not about me or you. It's about the people in this community that like this community the way it was. On my street, you see goats, and horses, and cows, and people riding up and down, and I love that. Sit on my porch and I can see what's out there. But you know what? I paid that my street still has not been mowed. That 10-foot that belongs to the city is overgrown. Who cares? I have a pit by my house that's a creek that has this great gargantuan tunnel in it. That if somebody walks out this, they're gonna fall in. It's the city's property, not mine. But nobody's looked at it in 3.5 years. Nobody's come out there. When I come out, what are you doing this year? You sure up your feet? That was your number one concern. They called me up and said, did you get a permit? No. Oh, you better get down here and get a permit.
How do they know we're putting in a water heater?
Because the plumber called and checked to see if they were doing not. And he was told no by one person, but when his company called, somebody else said, you need a permit. See, so there's something. I'm thinking for senior citizens, and I'm thinking for the younger people that are paying mortgages. I'm fighting for the people that want to live in this town. And they want to live here because they don't want to live in the DFW. They don't want to be in on town where you can't even move. And look at our roads. We don't have the structure to handle all this new building. That structure's out there. When those houses said, what are we gonna do? You're not gonna be able to get out of my street. And if you don't believe me, just go down the road and see those people backed up in traffic all the time when the trains come through. Yes, it's nice to have a fire department, but where I live, we had a volunteer fire department. We had a volunteer first aid squad. And people went out and helped to work with their brothers and sisters in the community. Why can't you? I don't think that's the truth. It was no fun. I used to take my wife and I had to go to work 45 minutes away. She came here, she'd go to work in 45 minutes. To downtown Denver and break phone. This one.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
So the question, do you support the people first and the city second?
People first.
Thank you.
Do you have any money conflicts with the city?
No,
I didn't think you did.
Asking everybody, it's something fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. All right, the next one I have here is Jimmy Royston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council people. I'm online. Couldn't be there in person due to illness. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm a lifelong resident of Denton and Wise counties. I lived in Louisville most of my life, lived in Chico for a while. I've got over 30 years experience in project management for government contracts in excess of $500 million. I've been a licensed real estate broker for over 12 years, running my own brokerage. I see the city's growing. It's going to grow. It's inevitable. But we do need to slow it down and take a step back and see what we really want and what we can do to benefit the residents instead of the builders.
Okay. How do you propose we slow it down?
We can regulate the development, I think, a lot better than what we've been doing.
You have some examples of regulation?
Not at this time. I'd have to study on it a little bit. See what exactly is going on.
Mr. Royston, Mr. Steve Meisner, do you support the people first and city second?
Mr. Meisner, I believe that the people are the city And the council and the mayor and all the city employees have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens. So yes, I support the citizens first.
Thank you. Do you have any conflict of money with the city?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Boynton, where do you live?
Oh, sorry, 14920 Lost Wagon Street, New Fairview. I'm Falcon Ridge.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next one they have here is from Anna Factor.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Unfortunately, I have to be honest with you, I don't have the experience that everybody's so far, but I have in here for 20 years. Was involved in the city long ago, like 2003, 2004, and this is such a plus. It just continues to be a point in time to make it cross. I moved here, we were 19, 20 years old, and moved back to important. We had a young family, we had a child that was hospitalized. We had to suffer and build all that. And we struggled. Just what happened. About this. So I don't have the experience a lot of it. I went to school in 2006, tried to get an associate and a bachelor's. I did the associate degree in only 3 semesters, and I'm going to take my bachelor's, but then I got pregnant again. So I'm going to take 3 classes away from finishing my bachelor's in
Congratulations.
mathematics, history, and English, all covered with science major. I've studied a lot of the government. I know how this works. My family growing up was my cousin was the mayor of Garland. I have another cousin who's the mayor of Templeton. I've been a lawyer. My brother was in the construction business, so he would take me along. I've been hands-on. I have physical experience, but I do have a lot of hands-on experience. One of my other cousins is in the Parks and Rec Department. My other cousin does the roads and infrastructure for the city of Carrollton. So I'm kind of familiar with a lot of terms and terminology from just family business dinners and stuff like that. And just growing up and fully involved in that. And when I first moved out here, it didn't really feel like a city. It just felt like a small town. And they said, "What's the city?" And I was like, "It doesn't feel like a city." Because it's a big city. But at the same time, we're on the lower income side. So I can see the suffering and the need that's in those areas. And I can say wholeheartedly that I don't think taxing citizens to run, especially this quickly, is feasible. A lot of people move out here because they want the country life. They don't want to live in Houston. And that's what this make reminds me of. This looks like we're trying to become dollars. And if that's where the direction they're heading, I'm thinking a lot of people are going to say, no, actually, I really want to do it. We're not ready for this. So, like I said, I don't have the background. I haven't been in the Marine Corps. But as far as all of the city government working, I don't have any physical records. I just have what I see and what I remember from my childhood. And I can say for people, a lot of them aren't educated and they don't have the city background to understand. Like I was speaking with them on the meeting the other day, and they were talking about the infrastructure needed to bring these things in, but we don't have the funds. Well, the city citizens don't have the funds for it either. You need to find other sources for it. Even if you can find somebody to just focus on that, that's the volunteers. The budgeting is just atrocious. You guys can't make it like that. That's fine. It's just yesterday. If you can't afford your grocery bill, you don't go out and buy your an attendant. That doesn't make any sense. If you can't afford the roads, why are we spending so much money on stuff? Why are we hiring 2 secretaries to replace one? Why are we doing conferences that cost thousands of dollars when there's other conferences closer that they wouldn't require us to stay for last month? That just doesn't make any sense to me. The budgeting and everything just seems crazy right now.
Those are excellent comments. Excellent. You don't have to have experience to serve here. Our founding fathers did not intend for experienced people to serve. They wanted like to serve short term on our government.
Yep. So like I don't have the experience that I've worked in already have to do. So we have a person, I can't say, okay, this is crazy. We do it. has more control over what's going on. Money was then more control over what's going on. Taxes. And he slowed this down. I don't think the sheep ranch idea is a good idea. I think that's too big for our community. We need to focus on our roads. We need to maybe focus on the park, which I've been told by the park the other day. And the grass is this kind. That's not a park. That is a vacant lot that nobody is maintaining.
It's gonna be.
But
Sure, no, okay.
it's been declared a park since 2003. So it's never been maintained, and I don't see any real anticipation of it actually being done at this point.
We have money in the budget to build it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
So would you support the people first and second?
People first.
Thank you very much.
Are you getting paid by the city for anything?
No.
Are you related to somebody up here?
No.
Thank you.
All right, the next one and last one is Arnie Wiseman. He's been here before, so I think most of us know that he's on the fire department and on the community committee.
Well, I see him being on the fire department as a conflict of interest, but that's just not me.
Is he coming up? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, he is, he had to work.
Oh, he's working.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to just talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any comment?
On, any of it, I guess, is.
He's not here, so we're just talking about it.
I don't see it him being on the fire department as a conflict. I see it as a benefit.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
So I don't know him very well. I think he's a nice guy. I know he's very close friends with you. You both worked on the
He's
fire
my neighbor.
department. Neighbors,
Yeah.
close friends.
Right.
You both worked in the fire department together for
Right.
what, years, right?
About a year.
Yeah.
1 year from the
So
city.
his office is here at the city hall.
He has an office here.
Okay,
Yeah,
so.
to do his paperwork.
So just playing both sides of this, so everybody's aware. His office is here, he's close friends with you, I know he's close friends with Ben, the few times I've come up here, all three of you have been in meetings together because this is his job. So the conflict that I see is that money. He does need money from the city a lot, the city gives him money a lot for what he does, equipment, this and that. Nothing against him personally at all.
First of all, I can clarify that the fire department has received $0 from the city. Zero.
No, I thought we talked about equipment and.
We have some equipment, but that came from grants. And the grant also allowed the city to get some equipment. It did get some dryers and that for the fire department.
But that's only by the city, that is
Yeah,
not.
so Larry, there's
It's all by the city. It's all by the
a
city.
question about a loan that supposedly, can I ask that? There was a question about a $350,000 loan for the fire department. Is that true?
There is no financial transaction between the city.
No loans been asked, no loans pending for the fire department.
So the council, we went through this over the last 3 months when we went through the budget. We said, right, 6 months ago, you guys have adopted an ordinance which allowed for commercial inspections. And those commercial inspections are going to generate fees. And we said those fees are going to go towards the organization that's going to conduct those inspections. The volunteer fire department and the city have been negotiating an agreement. I mean, Larry's been involved in it for the last 3 or 4 months as well, for them to conduct those safety inspection fees, which will generate around $250,000 a year. Those $250,000 a year are in the budget that you guys just adopted towards purchasing equipment to improve the response time and the staffing and the gear that they're using. We've got people, volunteer firefighters that are in gear that's been expired for 21 years. It was supposed to have been thrown away 21 years ago. So they're generating $250,000 in labor type stuff for us. And then we are committing in the budget, which the council just adopted recently, to purchase equipment so that they can respond to fires or whatever it is in a better situation.
So that's my point though. If he works here and he's in charge of that and you're in charge of money or bringing things to council about money, I feel like with how tender everything is right now, we need to separate the council from the money. And the council from, as people said, it's your job to want more, bigger, taxes, everything, and everything else. So if this can be a conflict at all, if we're talking about building new firehouses next door, new bays, offices, 24-hour this, all that's kind of a big tangled mess. A new road for the thing. That's a big tangled mess for a lot of citizens that have gotten in touch with a few of us about keeping that separate from the council.
So the thing about it is that the council speaks with one voice through their votes. And he's one person on that council that would be looking at taking a vote for how that would work. Can I finish?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the money that's being generated is being generated by the volunteer fire department. And the city council, when we discussed this, said that they would basically dedicate those dollars back to the fire department.
Right.
So how is it a conflict of interest for the dollars that they are generating to be dedicated back to the people that are doing the work for the service of the people in the community?
Because we have a handful of other people here who have nothing to do with the fire department needing stuff, wanting stuff, or gonna be asking for stuff, or voting on stuff that has anything to do with money. So if he was the only one, I would be like, well, yeah, we better make this work, but that's not the case.
It seemed like to me if he's on the council and he's in the fire department, even as a volunteer, then how could he discuss, anything to do with the fire department?
Well, because he would have the knowledge of what's going on with the fire. That's.
It's a conflict of
It's a
interest.
conflict. I see it as a conflict of interest.
Let me ask you, you've been working with us over the last several months. Is there a conflict of interest?
If he was a councilman, that's different. He's not a councilman.
So the mayor of Rome has been the volunteer fire department chief for years. And that is the case in many cities where they are aligned, because you have a certain number of people that volunteer. You have right now 7 volunteer firefighters in the East Wise Fire Rescue District. So what I'm hearing is you guys are saying a person who's donated, I think, 2,000 hours in the last 12 months towards taking care of people in the community, reaching out, going and doing the medical health care, that disqualifies him from serving on the
We're
city.
not saying that. We're saying that we didn't want a conflict as far as the city council and the citizens going, that there's other people that.
No, I understand.
His office is here, but the mayor's office, you 3 are.
His office is on the other side, and he doesn't office, he's a trauma surgeon. He doesn't want to do this whole thing.
I understand.
Yeah. And then the other thing, to clarify his office, you keep saying his office. He's in that truck most of the time,
Yes,
taking
sir.
care of people. When he comes back, he does his reports there and sends them out.
I understand.
Okay.
Well,
Right, that's not much of an office.
citizens keep saying,
Right.
Arnie's here at City Hall all the time. That's all.
He's a person who likes to be involved in some of that. He's a giver.
Thank you.
Okay?
I don't see how we would be being fair to him not to consider him just as much as anybody else. He's earned the right to be considered just like everybody else at the bar.
So Larry, not to pick on you some more, but you never really answered the question. Is there a conflict?
If he's a councilman.
Right, he's a councilman.
I was gonna pull up the Fairview workers. I think one of the things you have to look at has been brought up here. There's a contract between volunteer fire department, and the city, there's money involved, and like step aside.
Okay.
That's,
So same with builder, Julie would have to do the same thing.
I don't work here anymore though. So I wasn't going to take,
You work for a builder, and if they bring in things.
if
you
I
need
was,
to step aside
the reason why
and work
absolutely, and the reason why I wasn't going to stay working in the Wise County or New Fairview area is because I didn't want a conflict. I'm in Springtown now. So there was no conflict, and that's why I accepted this volunteer position, because there was no conflict. But the lawyer just said there would be a conflict.
Okay. So
I
you-
didn't think we paid
I
for
missed
it.
it. Did you say there is a conflict?
oh, if there's going to be an agreement between the city and the East one, this volunteer fire, you can remember that. When you've got the open roles, just from the outset. And it would be best for him to step away from the conversation with that particular matter. It's not saying.
So you can do the same thing too. I don't.
Well, she's never signed.
Right, that's what she said, she just said she could step aside.
If you haven't built into your ordinances, haven't, but you need to be aware of that, and just what I'm hearing you say. I guess the conversation there is that, you know, given what's going on in the community, that may be better not even to get into that. So that's a question that we all decide. It's not a legal issue.
It's not a legal issue.
Well, no. I want to make sure that. The legal, it's not a legal issue about who you all select. You can select Dr. Watson.
Yeah, whatever.
And if something comes up for the council that has to volunteer fire department, which he is a participating member, and influential on it, he should probably step aside.
Okay.
On that consideration, on that.
On that matter.
So then if he has to step aside, if we're talking about that certain thing, then we're in a position of two of us one way or two of us another, and the mayor has to tie break. Why even put ourselves in that position if we don't have to?
Yes, discussion.
Right. So more discussion on that one?
I don't know.
What's that? What's the available or?
Yeah, the first guy, did he come back?
Cordova,
Cordova, is he,
Louis Cordova, are you online?
He said he didn't have a mic in the comments.
Mike. Oh, man. Mike broke on.
If you guys want to ask him questions, we can pull this up and you guys can chat with him. He can hear you, he just can't,
is he muted? He needs to unmute himself at the bottom of the page.
but he said he doesn't have a mic yet.
Oh, he doesn't have a mic. Gotcha, gotcha. Are you gonna put that up?
Yeah, I have this one screen. You guys have any questions you want to ask?
That's my same question. Any money conflict? Will you be needing the city to help pay for anything for your homework, office, land, job, anything else?
It says he lives at 9301 Hidden Pond. Where's that? Anybody know where that is? Fountain Green. He's asking if he's from California. Everybody in there, Republican or Democrat? That's a fair question. In the last election, 88% of people in Wise County voted Republican. So why would we not vote Republican?
Somebody asked a good question. If you could stop that, if Arnie were to get in and then he, Ben, and Nolan up there at the city hall and talking, is that a quorum of three?
No.
All right, Jeff, no.
If you're online, it's 3 council members.
Council members. I need the glasses.
That's actually the majority, so for
Majority.
us, it's 3 at the moment.
I'm not getting any response back from Louis.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess, Ben, we need strips of paper to vote on.
Mayor identified conflict number.
We're gonna do that now as open forum, or open vote. Record vote. Record vote, okay, whatever the term is. So, and help me here if I screw this up. I'm learning as we go, trying hard to get it figured out. But, with the record vote, there will be a motion for one of these candidates. And then there will be a second. And then when there is a second, there will be a vote by everyone. And if it ends up in a tie, then I have to break the tie.
You can motion?
Yeah.
A motion that, Arnie Long to, consider for the position of second place person.
Okay. Is there a second on that? All right, we have another motion.
I'll make a motion that, select Vicky McNeil to fill, council position, what? Second place? Place two? Place two.
Okay, we have a second. All right,
I can second it.
second, okay. So with that, this is for Vicky McNeil. All those, well, individually. So Steve? John?
No.
No.
And Mayor, no. Okay. Next. Another nomination.
I make a motion that we appoint Jimmy Royston, for place two city council.
Okay. We have a second.
Second.
Second, okay.
Aye.
Steve, aye, no. No,
No.
and Mayor, no. All right, another motion?
I make a motion to nominate Scott Johnson.
Place two.
Okay. Second,
I'll second.
okay. Both?
No?
No.
Yes.
Really? Oh, so-
This is tough.
Do I have one more minute?
Sure. Should I start at nine?
That's it. Don't get too happy, I'm kidding. I mean, he's got okay, yes,
Yes. Cindy?
Yes.
All right, so there's no, I don't need to do a tiebreaker there. All right, so that will end Scott Johnson. Citizens, I want to thank you for turning out. This is awesome. This is what helps our city, is when you're here and support, and enthusiasm for Scott, it was great. I appreciate that, I really do.
I agree, yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stop. Will you get a city secretary? Where you live?
All right, so, item B, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of New Fairview, Texas, appointing a council member to serve as mayor pro tem.
How are we doing this?
Yeah, now that I read this, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I didn't think this was a good time to do this, unless we need it. Because I think the council's pretty divided, and I didn't. That's the happen.
Yeah, to get there.
You want to wait until Scott takes his seat?
We can table it until he takes a seat if
Let's
you
wait for
like.
our last member.
So, are we in, want to take a vote here? How many want to table this item? You guys, okay? Okay.
Good thought.
Okay, and C, I believe, is everything, we can vote on it now, table item C.
Motion taken.
Okay, unanimous, table C. We might get out here early. All right, the last one, item D, is to discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of the city of New Fairview, Texas, removing and adding authorized signatures to the city bank account. There's been a lot of discussion about it, and I'm not sure how we got there, but we are. So we do need to remove some people that are on the account.
Can I ask them, what names are on there that need to be removed?
Joe Max Wilson, Scott Johnson, well,
Yeah, but you know that.
Patrick Gunter, Julie Berger is on there, myself, Monica Rodriguez, and I believe that's it right now.
And the reason I asked is, before the council, January 11th, Ms. Council was voting. He made the motion, she seconded to remove him. I had a hard time finding the minutes because I wasn't posted. I got to count them in March when they finally got approved in the packet, but I mean, I was kind of curious why they didn't happen.
So the head of the accounting department or the finance department for city is the city secretary by statute. She's responsible for maintaining the accounts and the records and the banking, and it was not done.
That's just what I wanted to know.
That when,
January 11th, I believe. Why give me, I can read the minutes.
tell me again, who's on the account now? Joe,
Joe Max Wilson,
you,
myself, Monica Rodriguez, Scott Johnson, Patrick Gunter,
And myself.
and Julie Berger.
so Patrick,
Like I said, Scott was voted, it was voted January 11th here at this council for. They moved Scott.
And new staff.
And she didn't get that.
so if it was never done, then Scott can still be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the people that are, ultimately it's the city's council's choice. It requires a council resolution as to who's going to be on the account.
So I think we need three.
Let's discuss, I mean, as a council, who needs to be on the?
Well, I think we need
We need to have a couple for signature purposes.
two
Is that
signers,
something
two signers.
Yes.
that- We'd like to do that down the road.
Can we-
That'll be another agenda item, but.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that, we probably need to do. But we need to know, I mean, do we put, Ben, Mayor Pro Tem? Do we put other city council? What's some discussion to think about how to do that?
I think any three council / mayor, city, whatever.
Right now, is it set up to have 2 people sign over a certain amount? So my thinking is, and I don't know,
No, so the way the accounting system works right now is an invoice comes in, it's entered in by Brooke. The invoice is dropped to me, I review the invoice, and I make sure that it's accounted for in the appropriate spot. Managed by-
Including your own expenditure.
Yeah. Yeah. The council oversees me.
but who, is there another signer on your expenditures right now?
Well, every check that the city issues is signed by Monica. Every electronic transaction that occurs is put into the account by Monica, and she authorizes the account expenditure, and then I initiate. And every
So
debit card transaction. There's 2 steps.
But she's not here, so I'm talking about now. I'm not
So,
talking about like last.
yes, so that's what I said, when we've had to do this, so right now, Brooke is initiating, or
Okay.
putting in your.
So you and Brooke are the 2 signers, okay. Are we allowed to have, if he's a signer and then maybe, I guess we can vote on who that other person would be so that somebody else is seeing what's
You
happening?
mean beside the mayor?
Yes,
Okay.
can we do that?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a council person as the third signature, not that.
A third signature.
I don't mean approve, I mean as a replacement if the mayor. Yeah.
Yes, good, that's good.
So, yeah,
No,
they should be 3 people available.
it's just safer.
I don't want it to be,
Because you don't want to hold up, checks that need to be read.
No.
documents need to be there,
Yeah.
those kind of things. We want-
But most of us are close.
So you guys need to tell me who you want to have on the account.
So do we want to wait until we get a mayor?
We need somebody, we need a third person, and we can change that third person, but we need a third person now.
So right now we have, well, I'm not on there, Dean's on there, Ben's on there.
Well, your name's up there.
It's up there, but I'm not on there yet.
Yeah, the resolution would be amending the,
Oh, amending it to be like.
Yeah.
who that you guys would like to have on there moving forward.
Why do you have a voting salary?
Well, because I need some people on this side of the city. So right now, Brooke was on vacation last week. So when Brooke's on vacation and somebody's out sick, all of a sudden, I am the only person at the bank. And unless you want to come in and learn how to create an ACH file, I need somebody else that can come in and create an ACH file. Because I cannot create the ACH file, an ACH file, and
Sure, we already talked about that. Try to get some staff. Some of this is gonna work.
In the meantime.
Yeah, in the meantime, yes.
Either one of those two people previously discussed qualify. Because the one, admits that they don't know how to do nothing.
Brooke's been doing this for a year. So
That person said, they don't have to do nothing.
somebody said that she's going to have you come here and answer.
So,
any questions.
Mayor, who would you like to put on there so we can move forward?
Well, I think the mayor pro tem would be the person, but we don't know who that is yet, so.
So then it's somebody in the interim.
Because I think, yeah, well, Julie's already on there right now.
Oh, you are? How come Julie's name's not up there, man?
It's because.
Because what it was originally discussed with, it was going to be the mayor and the mayor pro tem, but we don't have a mayor pro tem now, so.
Okay, so Larry, can we put Julie on, since she's not up there? I mean,
Absolutely, it's a.
okay, all right, all right.
I mean, it's already on there, or it could be Scott, he's already on there.
I was gonna say, do y'all realize I'm already?
Yeah,
Yeah, we discussed that while you were out.
so convenient.
So I mean, that's the other signature you need on there. So he's not sworn in yet, so let's do like this, how that is.
Well, we need to, because right now you have people that are on the account.
Yeah, we'll make choices now and then we can change
Should
it.
be on the account.
And so we need a motion to remove the people?
Yes.
Okay.
So the resolution was written basically says remove everybody, and then we're providing a list of who we add back.
Okay, so let's make a motion to remove everybody currently on the signature card.
Second,
No, and you're going to add back.
add back.
And we're gonna add back, do I need to say, Larry?
Tell me who it is so I can write it out. I'll make sure I got it clear as what you guys wanted.
Okay, so I make a motion that we remove everybody currently on the signature.
And already removed the people on there.
The motion, the minutes say we did not. That's the issue. The minutes say we did not. The minutes said we
No, the
did.
minutes.
It just never happened.
When I went to the bank the other day, they said that they need to see the actual minutes and they never actually got them. They said that somebody had requested to be coming when on there and the bank said no.
Why can't somebody take the minutes to the bank? It's not legal?
The person you need to ask that is not present. I don't know why it didn't happen. It was acted on, the minutes should have been created.
But
and they
Brooke
should-
could have done that too, right?
No, Brooke's not the.
So who needs to go do it is my question.
The city secretary is.
You lie, quit muting me, you.
This is pretty, this is a good answer.
He said he's getting muted.
Well,
Yes.
yeah,
I'm just telling you what he said. I'm not sure we're making a decision.
so I just need you guys to tell me who we're adding back to the account. If you don't want me on the account, I'm fine with that. You can come up and sign every check. And do whatever it is you guys want to do with that. That is your decision.
So, Larry, if the motion was made, seconded, and voted on, and it's in the minutes, but, and it's there, then why do we have to do it again?
Well, because, since then, that was done in January, Joe Max was replaced in May, so his name, we still got with him also.
I think if I'm sitting there at the bank, I'm gonna want probably most recent action.
Right.
From the city.
And
Don't
this,
spit my file.
what we do now,
Care what happened in the past, especially in
Right.
states.
what we do tonight will supersede anything.
Yes.
previously.
And
Okay.
Like we're saying, we remove everybody and then add.
Okay, I'll try again. I'll make a motion that we remove everybody currently on the bank signature card. And we put back on that Ben, now Barger, Nolan Shoemaker, Judy Barger, and Scott Johnson.
Scott's not presently on campus.
Okay.
We'll do that.
And Judy Barger.
And if you guys do that, then understand, one of you guys are gonna have to come up here and generate an ACH file, and you're gonna have to learn how to.
ACH being payroll.
Payroll files and bill files, and you're gonna have to generate that, you're gonna have to upload it on a weekly basis, and you're gonna have to initiate a transaction.
I don't think it will qualify. Somebody else.
Anybody else want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we remove everyone from the bank signature and add everyone that's posted on the screen, including Judy.
I think the only thing I would amend to that is not having our intern on there.
Okay. We'll take that. Okay, that'll work.
So say the names.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we take everyone on the signature card at the bank and add Ben, Brooke, Nolan, and Judy.
We'll address that. Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right. Thank you, guys. One thing that, being a mayor, that's not fun. Well, you know, it's no one person's fault, but, what we want to do, we want to do the best for the citizens. And I think our hearts are in the right place. And we just need to be careful of the things that we put out on social media. Because some of it is pushing the envelope of being totally, emotion or opinion versus fact, and it stirs a lot of people up. We just need to be careful. That's all I have. Larry, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, that's the change.
Yes.
All right, with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:30. All those in favor? Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Yes, I did not put it in the state of back.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what's gonna.
We're actually looking for a job, so.
So the only position that the council said.
I'm sure it's gonna be.